welcome to Copilots. Welcome to the new year, and welcome to this review.
Welcome to the new us. We're not changing anything, but we have rebranded ourselves as new, hopefully to get more people listening.
This is now the new Copilots review. You'll be seeing a change in your URL and podcast feeds momentarily.
Yes. It might take a while to get used to. Also, the email is now newcopilots@gmail.com.
Yeah, this isn't all because we lost our password to our Gmail account.
That is not why we're doing this. We would never do that.
Nope, has nothing to do with that at all.
Okay, honestly, we're not going to change that. That's too much fucking effort. We do remember the password. Don't email that one, please.
But anyways, it is a new year. It's officially a new year, even for us, because we're recording this about 12:30 a.m. New Year's Day. So, welcome to 2021. I hope your first day of 2021 has been good, because
It's been inebriated.
Well, I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to the passengers.
I know, and if they're smart, it's been, inebriated. I don't care how many days after the new year they're listening to this, just spend all of that up until the point you listen to this episode, inebriated.
Let's cue the intro music, come back, and talk about what we're reviewing. So, what are we reviewing?
This time around, we are reviewing a show that we didn't pick to review for this specific episode in like any forethought, because we've actually taken the time to put all of our shows that we have possible on a giant list.
All the stuff that we've looked at and been like, yeah, we could review that.
That looks bad.
And all the stuff that people have suggested to us. They're on a massive list now, 50-something shows long, so like 2 years worth of shows. And we rolled The Legend of Black Heaven.
Or just Black Heaven.
An anime from 1999.
Which the main character is voiced by the amazing Bo Billingsley, or John Billingsley in this case, who you might recognize as Jet from Cowboy Bebop if we're just talking mainstream, popular, extremely awesome anime.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't recognize him, but I'm terrible at voices, so...
Yeah.
Also, his name in the credits wasn't Bo, so how was I supposed to know?
Yeah, it's John Billingsley.
You're the one that put this on the list. Why?
Because up until the end of its description, it just sounded kind of like, okay, yeah, that sounds like a thing. It's not something I've seen before from like an anime. It doesn't sound bad. And then the end is just suddenly out of left field in the description. I'm just like, oh, you just made a massive swerve on me there. Show description. It's either going to be horrible or probably horrible, but maybe good. So let's watch it.
And if you want to watch the show for yourself after we review it, you can find it on Verve. Is it Crunchyroll specifically?
I do believe it is the Crunchyroll branch of Verve. Okay,
so Verve. If you want to find it, you can. So, episode 1, again, 1999, is entitled Stairway to Heaven.
Which is the beginning of episodes, all of which will be titled Song Stuff.
I mean, I wouldn't say song stuff. They're all titled after songs.
Yeah, and songs are song stuff.
Anyways, this episode opens in space.
It does. And we get like a bunch of random noise.
Which, based on how you described the show to me, based on the description you read, threw me off.
Yeah. Because I left the bottom part of the description off for him.
But we get a bunch of distorted sounds, yeah. Like dial-up modems, cars, sirens,
traffics. And then as we're slowly panning over to our right, we started with some guitar. Some really nice sounding like guitar solo, and then we start adding some drums.
But, like when the guitar solo kicks in time with the music, are two flashing lights in the distance, keeping time with the music.
And then when our drums hit, we see lasers go off.
Yeah, it's kind of like an extraterrestrial light show.
Yeah, and the great part is we both assume in this moment that all the sounds we're hearing are the radio wave pollution or just sound pollution coming from Earth into space.
Yeah. 100%. That's what it's meant to be.
So we have two groups of entities fighting.
I labeled them as alien armadas. I know it's not clear that one of them is alien because it could be Earth Defense Force or something.
There is one that looks vaguely possibly Earth because they are backed up to the great blue sphere that is our planet and are in like a dull gray. So
I just assumed they were both aliens.
I wasn't entirely sure just because the backdrop of Earth is like stereotypical sci-fi. Look, we're using Earth as a backdrop to let you know we represent Earth.
Yeah, but at the same time, I just assumed it was two alien groups fighting.
Yeah, especially with the description I gave you.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess we can get to that after we finish listening and I'll explain what the description was.
But the entire time they're fighting, the fight is set to this music that's playing.
And it is wonderfully done.
Then we transition over to a satellite coming across, I don't remember what it's called, but...
The horizon? I mean, it's not the word, but
it's coming around the planet Earth, like from the side, and it has the sun behind it. And we zoom in on it, and it's this giant satellite thing. Most satellites are pretty giant.
And our guitar music kind of just goes into its own extreme solo, and it's great.
It's interspersed with hand drawings of someone playing the guitar as well.
Yeah, because as that's happening, the giant satellite thing's front is opening up, and there's this giant, like, almost gym-looking thing in the middle that appears to be charging.
It's a giant laser gun.
Yeah, it appears to be charging up. And in between scenes of it charging up, we get interspersed hand draw on someone playing a guitar.
Yep. And you said you wanted to dive into the description of the show after that scene, so...
Well, there's one part.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
The giant laser then blows away what looks like the more alien-looking armada.
I couldn't tell if it blew away one armada or two, but yeah.
Yeah, and it looked like it hit a planet in the background.
By the time we finished these 2 episodes, it's very clear that it just blew up the one armada.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, then, just to inform why Josh is so confused at this point on it, the description I gave him was just the first half of the description of the show, which is, it's about a man named Oji, who is a middle-aged businessman.
Washed up rock star
who isn't happy with his life. That's it, basically. That was the description. And we start with a fucking space battle.
Yeah, so... speaking of, after one of the armadas is pretty much blown up, we then transition from the explosion to an image of the sun on the horizon and a man drinking tomato juice.
Yes. We zoom out from the sun into his apartment.
And he throws away the can of tomato juice. It's empty now, obviously. Then we get the title card and what is presumably the show's slogan. Hard rock. Save the space.
Yep. And then it's the intro time.
Which, this intro is kind of fucking fire.
Yeah. I have very few notes about it because it is eclectic. First of all,
fire.
There's a man with a newspaper face. His face is just...
Oh, you're talking about the OP animation. My bad. I was just talking about the song.
Both are great. The man's face is just plastered with newspaper, and it's weird and great. And it ends fading into another person's face. It's weird. The music is amazing. It's almost like an eclectic music video from like the late 80s, early 90s that you got from like some hard rock bands or metal bands.
Oh, that and like the art style throughout the music video changes drastically. Like
yes.
We get some stuff that looks like what James O'Barr did in The Crow, like these elongated but hyper realistic people.
Yeah.
And then like we transition into CG.
Well, there's that pose where that one blonde guy is just like posed on that chair and sprawled out with a cigarette, and it looks like how The Crow is posed for like I'm on top of the angel in the comics, and he's sprawled out. So it like looks when he's sitting. I think it's just one of the fucking chapter art pages.
Yeah, so it looks like that post from The Crow, but it looks like it's the
strung out guy. I can't remember the name of it. It looks like him.
The morphine addict.
Yeah, it looks like him, but in The Crow, just sprawled out on the angel pose.
Funny boy.
Yeah.
The Crow is my favorite graphic novel of all time, so
it's pretty great. It's not my favorite, but it's pretty great.
Other than the animation, there's something we need to hit on here, because this isn't just any random OP. Like, it's not just a random Japanese song playing on an anime, which is what you would expect. This is a fucking rock legend. Johnny Sykes from Thin Lizzy and Whitesnake fame.
And Blue Murder.
And his song Cautionary Warning.
And my god, is it fucking great here. And unexpected.
I actually had to look up if this song was commissioned for the anime, because I knew it was around 1999 that came out. Unfortunately, the song is from the tail end of 97, so not quite commissioned for the anime. Not like Tyler Carter's song from God of High School, which was made for the anime. And so good.
But yeah, this is, either way, it's a great and unexpected song.
This is kind of a weird instance. Here. Eastern animation using Western music.
Yeah, but my god, do I love it.
There's a lot of that in this show, actually.
Well, yeah, because like from my understanding, a lot of the metal and hard rock scene of Japan is heavily influenced by the Western world because, well, the Western world very much kind of pioneered hard rock and metal.
Yeah. Anyways, after the OP, we get the episode title card, which is less common nowadays, but was
Yeah.
more common in the 90s when the show came out.
Absolutely.
Like, I think probably one of the most famous shows for its title cards is Cowboy Bebop. Like,
Yeah, session, whatever, because they were jam sessions, and I fucking love the fact that it calls them sessions.
so the cool music leads to the main character giving a voiceover.
And he's just in his apartment, like, going about his morning routine, like, getting ready to brush his teeth and brushing his teeth and such.
Describing him as melancholy would be an overstatement of how positive he is.
This man is experiencing the full depths and onsets of ennui.
Full nihilism dashed with some apathy thrown in.
Literally, the man's, like, tone of voice and even what he's talking about strikes me very much as a Jean-Paul Sartre thing. I'm not sure if I'm saying his fucking last name correct. It's French. But Nausea, if you've ever read it, which is kind of just about the mundanity of day-to-day life and following a character that does that. The beginning of this with this man feels so much like that because he's talking about just like literally a quote from him in the beginning of this is, "I wish people wouldn't ask me my name. My identity has long been lost. I am nothing more than a transparent being." Because he's talking about how he's just like a pointless cog for society. He has no identity other than what society has deemed him to do. It's a very dark tone in the fact that
So before
so apathetic.
Before I go where this took me, I want to ask a question.
Yeah.
Out of the two of us, who is the bigger weeb?
Oh, that's me.
100%. So it's hilarious to me that you immediately went for a Western.
A Western philosophy.
But
yeah.
But for me, our main character Oji had such like similarities to Osamu Dazai to me. Like
The moment you said it, I didn't disagree.
I was like, yeah, he feel like everything he's talking about feels very similar to like the ideas and things Osamu Dazai talked about in his novels.
Yeah.
Osamu Dazai, by the way, wrote a novel called Less Than Human.
Amazing novel.
And it's a semi-autobiographical novel that is just straight nihilism given form because the entire story is about a protagonist based on Dazai
Yep.
who, because of how he's forced to live because of society as just a cog in a capitalist machine, feels like he is less than everybody around him and that he has no purpose in life and life has no meaning.
This show is definitely more inspired by Dazai, I guarantee it. But my mind went to the one I know better, like having read thoroughly and like also read the person's philosophy more.
Oh yeah, no, it was just weird to me because like you're 100% the weeb.
Yeah.
But yeah, this character is a like textbook case nihilist.
And we know that this man seems to have more than just like being a just like office worker because he has a wife and a kid.
Yeah,
we see them in the opening scene, and
but it's a really small apartment because they're all sleeping in the same room.
Yes.
Yeah.
So from there, we get his wife calling out to him to take out the trash.
Yeah, take out the trash on his way to work. And as he's taking his trash out, we see what looks to be a broken guitar sitting in the trash.
Yeah, it's just the bottom of the guitar is inside the cinched up bag, but we see its neck sticking out. And the
strings are all disarrayed.
Yeah, they're not cut, but they are still strung. It's just he wound the strings and then didn't cut off the excess, which some people don't. I don't know why, but some people don't.
And as he exits his building with his trash in hand, he is surprised by a group of girls who are
doing calisthenics.
I mean, if you say it like that.
They're doing morning calisthenics, which is, according to anime, a common Japanese thing, radio calisthenics. They don't have a radio, which makes it a bit odd, I guess, but they're all just doing calisthenics, casting out, doing it in time.
Yeah, but it's not what they're doing, which is totally normal based on everything I know about Japanese culture.
Yeah.
It's where they're doing the calisthenics.
What's wrong with doing calisthenics on top of a metal awning above a bike port? I hear it now that I say it out loud.
I was just going to stare at you till you got that. Like,
yeah. So Oji just kind of takes off after looking at them for a moment.
And he says to himself that they were too scary to tangle with.
Yeah, because he's just an old working class guy, and people like him don't trust things out of the ordinary.
Yep. And it's not that they don't trust. He literally says they're scared by anything out of the norm.
Yeah. And then as he takes off, we do zoom in on these three, so apparently they're going to be important. And we just get them all looking at him and going, I don't know why you're humming a man running away from you three weirdos standing on top of an awning that has no easy way up because it's lined up on the sidewalk. There's nothing for them to even climb.
There is windows behind them. My immediately thought was,
I guess they would have to climb out the windows.
My thought was, they live in that apartment, and for some reason they've chosen to do their morning calisthenics on this bike port.
I mean, the property owner is not going to stop. You might as well use it as a balcony.
No, 100%. I feel like putting chairs up there.
It looked curved. Chairs might not be the most
I could weight
easy.
them down.
Yeah, okay. Whatever.
But yeah, so he runs to the bus stop to catch his ride to work, and he says he has a 10-minute bus ride and then an hour-long train commute. And he doesn't say this like, oh, hey, these are just the facts of my life. He says it was like, oh, God, I have to ride the bus for 10 minutes, and then an hour-long train ride.
And this is just part of my life that I have to fucking deal with.
And this just makes the 9-to-5 day even that much longer.
And then he just screams all of a sudden.
The bus screeches to a stop. I'm assuming it has like those pull cords in it.
Yeah, that's my assumption.
Where you can be like, hey, no, I need to get off right here, not at an actual stop.
And he runs off and has one of those classic anime giant dust clouds behind him.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite part here is, as he's running, we're getting like just shots of his legs or his face. And in time, it just seems to be with his running, we're getting these chugging guitar chords, which are really well done with it. And he ends up back
in the trash bin area, where he's freaking out because he realizes that his guitar was in the trash. So he manages to find it, digs it out of the trash, takes it back up to his apartment, and puts it back in the case. And then he's like, wait, I have to hide it.
Because my wife fucking threw it away, which he does stop to yell at his wife to wake up because he's upset. She just doesn't.
Yeah. While he's doing this outside, the girls who are doing calisthenics are talking to each other.
Who I have decided to label blue, red, and green because that is their hair colors and their color of their outfits.
What were they?
Blue, red, and green.
Yeah, I named them left, middle, right, which falls apart after this scene.
Yeah. So blue, red, and green, assign them now.
So blue was like, he's definitely running late to work.
Yes, and then they kind of just comment that he's wasting his life.
That was red.
Yeah, red comments that he's wasting his life.
And then green, out of fucking nowhere. Do you really think someone like him could be the Messiah?
And then both red and blue are like, I don't know.
Green says it too. All three of them.
Yeah.
She replies to her own question.
Yeah. So then blue questions the other two about their disguise and if it's working because they're getting some weird looks.
And by weird looks, they mean that people walking by are calling them freaks and such.
And weirdos. And the others are just like, according to our research, every day in Japan starts off with radio calisthenics.
Yeah, but we're getting weird looks.
And we see people walking by. Some teenage girls are like, freak alert. And we get this young girl stopping like to stare at them and just goes, Mommy, why are they on top of the building? And her mom's like, come on, let's go.
Then all three of the caller girls tilt their head and go,
oh well. And continue their exercise.
I don't think the issue, though, is them doing morning calisthenics, which is what they think the problem is. I think the issue is probably where they chose to do the morning calisthenics.
I think so. That makes sense, yeah.
I mean, it just makes the most sense to me. After that, we cut to Shino Megura Corp.
Shimo Meguro Corporation.
I couldn't read it. There's a red line underneath it because those aren't words.
I mean, they are.
I doubt that Meguro and Shimo are actual words.
Oh, no.
Meguro is probably like a bastardization of the English word mega.
Possibly. So we cut there and we see OG is being yelled at for being late by someone at the desk just labeled administrator, so his boss.
Mm-hmm.
And the boss is like
this isn't just you're late. It's why are you late? I live further away. Why can't you get here on time?
The boss doesn't even say that he lives further away. He says he doesn't live in Tokyo. To which OG points out, I don't live in Tokyo either, technically. I live in a suburb close to Tokyo. I don't live in Tokyo either, though, man. And the boss just continues to yell at him, so he's just like, peace out, deuces, and walks away.
Well, he doesn't quite walk away. His boss actually, it's not like his boss is just telling him off either. Like, his boss is like, you're nothing but a worthless bag of trash. Which, if this is what you have to deal with every day, and then, like, a wife who is like...
Hey, bro, how's work for you? Are you a worthless bag of trash?
My supervisor doesn't speak to me that way. Not anymore.
Yeah.
His line relies on me.
Yeah, I know. My point is,
I honestly can get away with so
bosses are
much
shite.
shit right now.
yeah. No, I realized. I was just getting to the point that bosses are shite.
Oh no, bosses are 100% shite.
Anyways, though. So, as OG walks off, his boss like gets up to follow him and continue to yell at him, and a blonde lady walks up and tells the boss to calm down. And that bosses shouldn't act to their underlings like that. It doesn't make work better for anyone.
Yeah, and she's right. Like, it doesn't help. Being a dickbag doesn't help get work done productively or effectively.
Yeah. And this guy immediately calms down, so I'd assumed, like, at this point, that she was, like, a higher up.
Yeah, but they also mentioned that this is her first day.
Yeah, then they immediately, it's like, it's her first fucking day, and I'm like, okay, so what this presents to me is, and then from what we see of her working later, she doesn't really seem to do anything, but what it seems to me is, this guy just, it gives him a creep vibe, because he immediately listens to this pretty lady who has no bearing in the company whatsoever, and it seems to be just so he can be on her good side.
I mean,
And she appears to be his underling.
she's quote unquote the transfer.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like she's quote unquote doing an audit or something, and maybe like that's why.
Maybe.
or-
I have no idea. It just gave me kind of creep vibes to the boss, which wasn't hard. He was already a dick.
Yeah. So while she's telling the boss to stop being a dick, OG is at his desk trying to call his wife.
I don't know why he would be trying to call his wife. Like, the morning went off without a hitch, right?
And this lady tells the director, I'm gonna go introduce myself to the assistant section head. And so she heads over to Ojai's desk, which means Ojai's the assistant section head.
Yeah, OG is actually a pretty important role in this fucking job of whatever it is he's fucking doing. So she's standing there while he's trying to call his wife, and he hangs up. Then he gets a call. He's like, Shin Meguro Corporation, whatever. And it's Yoshiko, his wife. And she's like, wait, so you were trying to call me? And she's like, yeah.
Because at first he was like, who could she be trying to call?
Mm-hmm.
Like, she doesn't talk to anybody. She has no life.
Yeah. So he starts immediately trying to go about on this. He immediately sets about trying to tell his wife, don't throw away my guitar.
Yeah, like,
Don't even touch it. It's my guitar.
don't throw my shit away.
Like, come on. And the entire time she's like, the coffee maker's broken.
And he's like, no, it's not.
You have to fucking close the bean tray.
She's stupid and a terrible wife.
Yeah. So
I don't care what anybody listening to this says. I have a bass guitar in my closet I haven't touched in 6 months.
yeah.
Mainly because I work all the time, which so does OG.
Yes.
If I came home and it was thrown in the trash, I would have one less brother in my life.
The same applies to my guitar in
I would have one
my
less.
closet.
I would have one less brother living.
Yeah. The same applies to the guitar I have in my closet. So
Yeah, like,
we understand this.
you don't just throw away people's shit without asking. Like,
Mm-mm. Especially not something that has sentimental value, which we learned this guitar has a fuck ton of sentimental value to OG.
especially not shit that has like a monetary value like,
either. Yeah.
Like, you just don't throw away people's shit.
Yeah.
You don't.
So, anyways, though, the blonde girl, just ignoring the fact that it doesn't look phone call, introduces herself as Layla Yuki.
And she keeps trying to introduce herself while he's talking to his wife.
Yes.
She's not letting him get a sentence out because,
Yeah. Also, I think we both forgot to note something. Our immediate suspicion when we were first introduced to this character,
oh yeah,
we were both immediately like, she's another one of the aliens.
yeah, she's 100% another alien. And at that point, I was like, I'm also 65% certain that all of the aliens of this species are humanoid women.
To which my immediate response was, it's probably like 85, 90% it's anime.
Yep.
Or at least all the ones we're going to see are pretty women.
Yeah, so, she keeps trying to introduce herself, and eventually his boss comes over and hangs up the phone for him because, quote unquote,
He's embezzling.
embezzling money from the firm by using the company line during work time.
Yes.
How?
I don't know, but also, fuck corporations anyways.
It's 1999. I'm pretty sure not even in 1999, local calls were being charged by the minute.
I assume the embezzling from it is that he's on the clock, so he's not spending his time working, so that's where he's stealing from the company.
Oh, it's kind of like how I
But it's also coming from a society where you're expected to work over for no overtime pay. It's not like unheard of to fucking fall asleep at your desk and everyone's cool with that. Stay over the fucking night in the office. Like, fuck off. If I need to call my wife for a few fucking minutes and you expect me to stay till like 2 a.m., even though everyone else was fucking left, fuck off.
Yeah, after he's forcibly disconnected, Layla thinks to herself, can this one truly be this Messiah? So,
Immediate confirmation.
she's an alien.
Yeah.
Bam! We were right.
And then we just spend the next bit watching Layla watch OG, and she's taking notes in a notebook and looking extremely serious.
Yep.
And being blatantly obvious about her observing of him
Yep. At lunch, his boss berates him some more. He's like, why aren't these done yet? These were supposed to be done earlier. And Ojai's like, I'll have them done after lunch?
No, it's not even that they're not done. His boss is yelling at him to do them again.
Oh, okay.
And he doesn't clear up what the problem is, and Oji looks confused and just like, fine, whatever.
Yep. So Layla eventually stalks him into a bathroom that she promptly rushes out of because it's a men's bathroom, and
She's not a man?
I don't think any of these aliens are men.
Yeah, no.
In a meeting room by herself, she's talking out loud to herself, and she's like...
No, I think she's just thinking because her mouth doesn't move. The show doesn't have like an echo effect when they're thinking, but Oji was thinking the entire time in the beginning, and nothing was... There's no echo effect like you normally get.
But she's thinking, he certainly doesn't seem like savior material.
Could the sound really be emanating from him?
Yep.
We don't know what the sound is. We can easily assume it's musical related, though.
So after work, he heads off, not towards the station, which means the 3 girls who are stalking him, the ones from the rooftop earlier...
Red, blue, and green in their suits, glasses, and beanies.
...are surprised that he's not going home, which, to be fair, with a wife like his, who would want to go home?
I'd actually point out, I really liked the way they did like the background for the city, because it was very like vague shapes, but then there's just like rectangulars of multiple colors. I liked it because of its minimalism, and it really stood out from what we've seen so far of it.
That was probably the best artistic moment. Like,
also, I really like it because of where he ends up.
Yeah,
we get this more expressionistic art, and then he ends up in a music store.
Yep. So at the music store, he's talking to the guy who probably runs the music store.
I immediately assumed he was owner. He is taken down as an owner in my notes.
Yeah, so they've known each other since before Ojai got married. Because the guy's like, man, you've changed, bro.
You've changed since marriage. And Oji's like, yeah.
You've changed since you had a kid.
He's like, yeah, I had to. That's like how you continue to exist in this world. You change so you can survive. And then you don't like who you became.
And his friend's like, nah, don't give me that shit.
That's bullshit.
And he throws a newspaper at Oji. He's like, don't try waxing philosophical to me. And when Oji opens up the newspaper, it has an article about UFOs in Japan.
And Michael Schechner.
I just want to make a point. Justice, you thought the UFO in this was referring to aliens.
I did, because when we went back and watched the scene, when I initially was looking at it, I didn't see that this article was like all one article. And because I just focused on...
The first headline we get titled is UFO attacks.
Yeah. And I was just focusing on the English translation of the title of the headline. And then it goes up to Michael Schechner is in Japan. I was like, whoa, and I was like immediately, Michael Schechner, that name is really fucking familiar.
Yeah, so it turns out Michael Schechner is a guitarist for the German band UFO.
Yes, which immediately clicked. I was like, oh, fuck, I'm an idiot. They're not different articles. It's all one article, UFO attacks, because they're in Japan. And I feel like a massive fucking idiot.
You should.
But in my defense, I wasn't focused on the actual art going on. I was focused on the words. And as we get the words, it is UFO attacks. And then it's Michael Schechner. And they have this audible gasp, which in like any other show or movie or anything would be a swerve, because here's this what would be a really important thing, and then here's this minor thing that actually matters to the character.
Yeah, but it's all the
same thing. Yes, I get it.
Apparently, like, the shopkeeper at this music store is trying to like make a point to Oji, because Schechner and Oji are about the same age.
Yeah,
they both played guitar in pretty successful rock bands.
And Oji and the owner both refer to Schechner as the god.
Yeah, and Oji ended up quitting, and Schechner's still doing his thing.
Yes.
So, we get a flashback here of Oji when he...
Which the flashback is triggered by the owner plugging in a guitar and starting to play.
Yeah, and based on the size of the crowds, he was more than moderately successful. Like, that was...
Yeah.
That was like a 2,000 person crowd, easy peasy.
Yes, absolutely.
And
which does make sense with the information we get at the end of the episode.
Yeah. So he gets home and his wife is coming out of the bathroom. And...
Well, no. He gets home. Oh, wait, I was thinking of the next time he gets home. Sorry.
Yeah. He gets home and his wife coming out of the bathroom runs into him. And apparently she was sleepwalking because she just falls asleep against him.
Yeah, and he kind of smiles and he's like,
and then
going
she's
back
like,
to bed.
Then she's like, after she gets back in bed, she's like,
What I'd like to point out here is this is the one moment that actually he seems happy.
Yeah.
Because he was just playing music. He was talking about music. Like, you can tell music makes him happy. Like, his wife that he was pissed off and he's exasperated with. He just like kind of wry smiles and he's like, go back to bed. And he literally directs her back to bed because the room's still dark.
Yeah, and she's like, I didn't make a mistake.
This morning.
It's okay to throw guitars in non-flammable trash.
Yeah.
And then she's like, in fact, I barely got it out in time.
And so he freaks out and immediately runs over to his guitar case and opens it. And instead of being filled with a beautiful Flying V guitar, filled with toys.
Okay, so if you throw something out that isn't broken, isn't trash, but you like, we don't need it, we can throw it away, and it A, doesn't belong to you, and B, the person it belongs to is like, no, and brings it back into the house, what makes you think, I'm going to throw it away again?
Also, I'd like to question, what is the fucking point of keeping a guitar case if you're throwing its fucking guitar away?
What's the point of throwing a guitar away?
No, that is a valid point. But like,
even a
the idiocy gets more because she throws the guitar away and then just puts toys in only the V section of the guitar because that's the only fucking spot that will hold toys because the rest of it is a case formed to a guitar to keep a guitar safe.
I mean, there's no point even throwing it away. Like, worst case scenario, you could sell it for $50.
Yeah.
Like,
anyways, though, we get more of him yelling and the running interspersed with the guitar to like imitate almost the meter at which he's running.
Yeah, he runs back to the trash area, but the trash has been taken for the day.
So he charges to the dump.
And he literally digs through piles of trash looking for his guitar.
And then he collapses to his knees and screams in agony. A soul-piercing agony because he can't find it.
And he gives up and goes to a ramen stand.
A street side ramen stand stall.
And just starts getting drunk on sake, which...
Yeah, all while lamenting the fact that his guitar is gone. It has its own name. I didn't catch its name.
He never said a name.
I'm fairly certain he yelled its name when he opened the guitar case, but I never went back to check.
I think you're wrong, but don't know.
Either way, he's extremely torn up about it.
Yeah, and he is complaining to the ramen shop owner, and he's like, my Flying V, it's gone. And he eventually asks for some type of, like, cake
thing. It's a triangular shaped food. So the moment it's on the plate, he immediately burst out bawling again because it reminds him of his Flying V.
And it's roughly the same color and kind of vaguely the same shape.
Yes.
And as he's crying and mourning his Flying V,
Layla shows up
and
orders
sits down next to him, yeah.
So she reintroduces herself because this man is drunk and clearly not in a normal state of mind. And
what are you saying? Are you saying you can't be drunk and in a normal state of mind?
That should stay in because you've been drinking and this proves a point. But that's not what I'm saying. But he's clearly not, is what I'm saying. Like, he's not in a calm state of mind. He is upset. He's been drinking a lot. But
I don't know what you mean.
She then introduces him for himself, giving his name, well, his given name, his family name.
And she's like, no, that's not right.
How about Gabe?
You're not Ojai Tanaka.
How about Gabriel or Gabe, leader of Black Heaven?
Gabriel Tanaka.
Yeah.
And she's like, I was a huge fan. I can still feel the warmth of your shows, as she like sidles up next to him and like grabs him by his arm.
Yeah. And he's just like, what?
And then she's like, you don't have to go back home tonight, do you?
Well, before that though, she's like, yeah, leader of the popular band from like 15 years ago that had so many popular songs and charts and everything. Like, we learned they were extremely popular.
Yeah. And then she's like, you don't have to go back home tonight, do you? Let me show you the way to heaven.
Yeah.
And then he fantasizes about having a one-night stand with her. And it's not like he fantasizes about... It's not PG.
Yeah, no, not really.
I know our podcast is rated M, and that's because...
We cuss.
We cuss.
We talk about things that aren't rated PG.
But if you are... I would say this is like the scene isn't even PG-13.
I don't know. I think the scene might be PG-13 because we don't get anything
maybe
explicit.
PG-13 by 1985, 1990 standards.
Well, we don't get anything besides like flashes of leg and like skin.
No.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think we saw anything really.
You're wrong here. We get full-on areola nipples.
Did we?
Yeah.
I have no idea. Okay. So yeah, it's rated R then.
Yeah. So just want to throw that out there. This show is explicit, but only in this one scene from what we've seen. So
yes.
And as he comes out of this fantasization about having a one-night stand with her,
he is already somewhere else with her hand in hand.
At a model home.
Yes.
Which are new in this area.
And so he's slightly confused, and she's just like, we're already almost there. and opens the door to one of the modeled homes.
Yeah, and they're holding hands right
Yes.
now. Yeah.
And she's leading them farther in, and she opens another door.
And this door spills out a glowing bright white light.
Well, sorry, I messed up. Right before she opens the door, she makes him promise not to tell anyone else about what's going to happen tonight.
And
this is extremely important.
Yep. So this door opens, and it spills out this glowing bright white light, and they both step through the door.
Yeah.
When we transition to the next area, the next scene, he finds himself alone at the bottom of a glowing blue staircase.
Well, you forgot the title, the name of the episode drop.
Oh, yeah.
When he sees the light, he gasps, and he's just like, what is it? And she goes, it's the stairway to heaven.
Yeah.
And then when he comes through, he's at a giant stairway, but she's not by his side
Yeah,
anymore.
by himself, yeah. But walking up the staircase, he sees his flying V, cleaned up, restringed, and sitting on a guitar stand.
Well, at first, it doesn't seem like he even knows it's his flying V, because he talks about how nice it looks. And then when he picks it up, he says it's seemingly reborn.
Yeah, so it is his, though. Like, we get...
Yeah, he doesn't seem to realize it's his until he touches it, because it looks so new.
Yeah, she also mentioned earlier that she was going to reunite him with his flying V. Like, and so then from the side...
Layla kind of steps into this scene.
And he asks her if he can hold the guitar. And she's like, you can do whatever you want to her.
Yeah, and then she kind of asks / commands him to, like, play it.
Yeah, so but before that, he hugs the guitar against his body and, like, cries a bit. And then she asks him to play for her. It's already plugged into an amp, but we don't see where the amp is.
Yeah, and he
pats his pockets looking for a pick.
And she tosses him a 10 yen coin.
Oh, is that what that is? I just said a coin because I don't know Japanese money because you're the weeb.
We saw the 10 on it.
You're the weeb.
We saw the fucking 10 on it.
No, you saw the fucking 10 on
it. I'm the weeb because I paid attention to this scene.
Yes.
Okay.
So then he begins playing a guitar solo, and playing, you can tell, makes him feel whole.
Yeah, because he literally at a point says, I'm back. He thinks I'm back.
And for her, the whole experience is very sexualized. Like, she's
gasping, moaning, and she's like, that's it. That's the sound.
Yeah, so the show then cuts to the end credits and an end theme, and the end theme is...
song is kind of upbeat, and it's just a simple drum beat with some piano here and there.
It's an upbeat...
And the occasional record scratch out of nowhere.
There's some lyrics to it, too, but it's an upbeat pop song, and it's kind of... nah. And it's played over images of the exercise girls all sharing the same bed together.
Seemingly completely naked.
Yep.
Yeah, the ending is very contrasting to the beginning of the show.
The ending doesn't belong on this show based on this first episode.
So what are your thoughts of the show in general after this first episode?
I'm torn by this show. There's something about it, and I know we kind of talked this over last night, but something about the show doesn't jive with itself. Like, the show has this deep undercurrent of nihilism and sadness that's highlighted by the idea that art is meaningful and, like, is important to people, and, like, without it, lives are meaningless.
Yes.
But at the same time, there's something about, like, the shticky comedy moments that just don't fit into the story.
So to me, it feels like we have this really, really dark tone. This dark, depressing tone. We have this kind of bright, lighthearted, whimsical tone in just, like, the way the story is presented.
Yeah.
And instead of doing it the way you should do something where you want to have that dichotomy of both things, they don't underscore either one of these other tones with moments of the other. It's either we're being dark and depressing, or we're being lighthearted and whimsical.
Yeah, but in addition to that, this episode in particular handles music in two competing ideologies. The one is this idea that music is religion.
Yes.
And that it can literally save people from destruction. And, like, both literally and metaphorically.
Yes.
Like, it can save OG from this life of monotony, but it can save Layla and her people from a competing alien race.
Yes.
At the same time, it paints music as this over-sexualized way, almost in a fan-servicey way that reminds me of how Food Wars handles cooking and food.
It also has the kind of destructive tone to it as well, because, yeah, OG can save them, but how does he save them? By playing music to destroy the other people.
Well, we don't really have that yet, so...
Well, but also, we see that music is kind of what's led him to where he is in life, so you could argue that that's partially what's responsible for his life being destroyed.
Mm-hmm. Individually, I like a lot of the stuff that's going on in the show.
It just doesn't seem to know how to fit itself together.
It does not gel.
Yeah. So for me, I very much agree with, like, all of that. I actually got, like, basically all of my fucking points out by just talking with you about it. Yeah, the only other thing is, now that's it. I made like a slight comparison to Foley Coley just because they both involve music and have dark tones and really light tones, but Foley Coley knows how to mesh its tones.
Yeah.
This does not.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm definitely still on board to watch more after this first episode. I am intrigued, not by the fucking alien bullshit, but like more about like OG as a person and his life. Also, I have the question of why the fuck did he marry this woman?
I mean, that question is not going to get any easier. It's just going to get more complicated.
It does. It gets more complicated. It gets more complicated the moment we get to the starting scene of the next fucking episode.
So let's go to episode 2, All Night Long, which is again named after a song. We've established a pattern. All the episodes are named after songs. Now, the new question is that song title relevant to the episode? Last episode it was.
I mean, I don't know. So we do start this episode with the first speaking lines, or spoken lines, they still appear to be thoughts coming from OG, and they are also still depressing. And it's OG just talking about how the only time he really lived was when he was young and in the spotlight with his friends.
Yeah, when Black Heaven was a band, when everybody had each other's backs.
When they burned his brother the sun, and now he doesn't really have anything.
Yes.
And then we get the intro.
Yep, then we get the intro, and we cut to OG, sorry.
Yeah.
Lying on his futon, and his son Gin, that's his son's name.
Yes.
Is throwing around a record, pretending it's a flying saucer.
Yes, talking about how he's beating the evil villains and stuff. And OG's like out of it, like staring up at the ceiling, kind of just reminiscing.
Well, he's like, was that all a dream? Like,
yeah, he's like half asleep, wondering if everything with Layla was a dream.
How did I get back to my bed? Like, what happened? And
Yoshiko, his wife, pops in, and she's just like,
hey, Jin, you need to start getting ready, or we'll be late.
Yeah.
And then she's like, Ojai, you need to be getting ready too, or you're going to be late for work again.
Yeah. And his wife has popped in long enough, and she's staring directly at their son. She sees what her son is doing.
She literally asks him what he's doing. He's like,
yeah,
I'm playing with my new flying saucer alien, da-da-da-da-da-da.
And so when OG sits up, he's like, wait a minute, what are you playing with? And we see the camera move over, and we see his records.
Mm-hmm.
And out of those, there's a sleeve. And it's a sleeve for a signed Michael Schechner record. So the guy he considers the god.
Well, it's not a Michael Schechner record.
It's Michael Schechner and Supergroup.
It's the Michael Schechner group, and it's the
Schechner
album
group,
Assault Attack.
Yeah. Which, evaluated for today at least, currency is, what is it? Price-wise around?
Based on sold listings on eBay.
Signed ones, yes.
$800.
Yeah. Now, obviously, it probably wasn't worth that 21 years ago.
Probably not.
Fucking God, 21 years ago was not.
But to be fair, Michael Schechner's still not dead, so...
Yeah.
The actual value of this record's still going to keep going up.
He's immediately like, oh, hell no. So he's like talking to someone, he's trying to get his son to hand it back to him.
And his son's like, nope. Flips it out the window. Yes. Throws it out the window. Also, they're on the top floor of their apartment.
Mm-hmm. So from here, the show continues, but I have taken a moment off my notes to make a more important note. Fuck his family.
Well, no, hold on. We just need to hit. As soon as the flying saucer flies out the window and off the balcony,
yes,
Ojai jumps up and starts running out of the apartment.
Yes,
to go get it. You can go ahead.
So, I have an aside here, and it's just this: fuck his family. First, his wife throws away his last guitar. Last guitar. He mentions it's his last guitar, which means he's had others, and he's kept this one, which implies that there's sentimental value. We see in the previous episode, and there's immense value behind it.
Based on his reminiscence, this is the guitar he played on stage with his band. Yeah. Who were not just a successful local band.
Which, even if it was, it still doesn't matter. It's an important thing, but he was a member of a successful band. This is the guitar he played. So it's worth more, I guarantee you, than just a normal fucking Flying V. You sell this to a fucking Black Heaven fan, you're making fucking money. You're making massive bank.
Sign your name on it. Gabriel Tanaka.
Okay. Yeah, but whatever. And she's no fucking remorse for it in that episode.
And then,
so that's already a problem.
And then when she asks her son what he's doing, she obviously knows that's one of her husband's records. Like, maybe she doesn't know it's Assault Attack. Yeah. Maybe she doesn't know it's the autographed Assault Attack album. But still, she's like, oh yeah, no, it's fine that you play with an incredibly breakable thing that your father cherishes. Just,
yeah,
have fun with it.
So, fuck her for that. And I'm just, no wonder this man is so fucking apathetic and depressed. His family is shit. They don't respect anything that he values. It seems they don't give a fuck about him or the things he loves as a person.
If I was OG, there would be no more of this show after this scene because I would be going to jail. Because do you? I'm not gonna. There's traffic approaching on the road. You could see it from the apartment.
Yep.
I'm not gonna try to run down there and get the record. I'm gonna throw the kid that threw the record off the balcony down to the road to get the record for me.
Either he's gonna get the record, or the people driving are gonna see a small child on the road and probably swerve or stop.
Or he's gonna die. Who gives a shit?
All outcomes are positive for Oji.
His family is garbage.
So anyways, he runs outside. He's running all the way down. We get the classic thing that it's doing now every time he runs. Chugging guitar chords, cutting back and forth, establishing how he's moving and whatever.
And we cut back between him and a truck that's approaching.
And just as he gets outside, just on the very edge of the sidewalk, the truck runs over his record.
Mm-hmm.
So he does the classic anime thing of he becomes completely pale.
Standing in one place.
And then his wife and child walk by. She's just like, "You look really pale. Are you sure you're okay? Anyways, you should get ready for work.
They're going to be late."
Yeah. To which I'd like to point out, one, she doesn't seem to fucking care at all about this record, which we obviously know she doesn't. But also, she points out that he's pale and doesn't look well. And then it says, "You should get ready for work." She has no concern even for like his physical health at that point. She's just like, "You look sick. Go to fucking work."
I hate his family, which is probably going to make it easier on the anime as for the fans of the show. It's going to make it easier when he actually ends up with Layla at the end of the series.
Yeah.
Because we all hate his wife because she's an inconsiderate piece of shit. Like,
yeah, absolutely. So now we're at work, and guess what? Oji's dead inside. He looks dead inside. He is dead inside. I don't blame the man.
And he's just boringly typing away at his computer.
Oh yeah, he says it's all been nothing but a dream, referring to the guitar and Layla and stuff last night because, well, he was willing to like indulge in the idea of the fantasy actually being real when he woke up. Now he's just like, life is shit. It couldn't have been real. I couldn't have had a fucking moment of happiness. That's clearly not how this fucking works. It had to have been fake. My life's not that fucking good.
There's a limited amount of happiness to be had in the world.
And I can have none of it.
And none of it is mine.
Yeah. But then Layla comes in. And he gets emotional seeing Layla. He's like, "Oh shit, that lady's actually fucking real."
And he jumps out from behind his desk and he's like, "Please tell me that what we had last night was real. Please tell me it was real. I need to go to heaven again.
Tell me what I felt in my hands was real. And then we went to heaven together."
Which, we're not wording it any better than he did, so...
Yeah, it is
obviously
it's obvious double entendre.
Very inappropriate to be saying to an office coworker who you met the previous day.
While grabbing them tightly by the shoulders and kind of shaking them.
But she's like, "I don't know what you're talking about."
That sounds like something a really drunk guy would say. "I think you have a hangover. Let me get you something for that."
Yep. Afterwards, though, he sits back down at his desk and he seems unable to concentrate on his work.
So, of course...
He's just fantasizing about playing guitar, air guitar.
You know, so he starts air guitaring. So, of course, his boss walks up to yell at him and berate him.
Yep.
The next thing we see him just kind of walking through the building.
Yeah, getting ready to leave.
Yes.
Yep. And in the women's locker rooms, the girls are talking about Ojai and Layla potentially having an affair because one of them saw them walking together hand in hand last night.
Yes. I'd also like to point out we immediately learned from this scene, apparently red, blue, and green work here.
Yeah. He rushes in to confront the women. Now, obviously, he wants to correct them and, like, come up with a story that, like, makes it seem like that he's not having an affair, but he's like, "Wait, are you telling the truth? You saw us together?" And he just wants confirmation that last night was real because his life is so terrible that he can't believe there was a moment of happiness.
Yeah. So
all.
The woman nervously confirms it for him, and he takes off to find Layla. He searches through the building. He's like, "I'm gonna fucking find this lady."
Well, he asks them. He's like, "What? Have you guys seen Layla?" And they're like, "We think she left already."
Yeah, but so he searches through the offices anyways because why not? He has nothing better to do with his life at the moment.
And as he goes by one of the conference rooms, Layla grabs him by the arm and pulls him into the room.
Yes, and she basically immediately acknowledges it was all real,
and then immediately begins undressing.
So he's immediately like, "Whoa, wait, what? No, stop!" And she is wearing weird space outfit.
Yes, some type of space uniform.
My favorite part here, though, is before this, she is wearing like a orangish peach lipstick.
Yeah.
And the time that he has looked away, she has wiped that off and applied bright green lipstick to match like her earrings.
Blue-greenish, yeah.
Yeah. And she has also put in new earrings and taken off her glasses.
No. When she pulls the dress off, those come off too. Or the dress has an energy projection.
I mean, yeah, maybe it's all projection, but I just love the immense degree of change here.
Yeah.
That seems to only come from her taking off like her outerwear.
And she starts to show him some footage from a battle going on between her people and another alien race. And she's telling him about how he's the only one that can help them, the only one that can save them. And then she takes him through another door out of the conference room. And this time onto what she says is the spaceship.
Yes.
And we get into the spaceship and we get a scene of them flying off into the dark of space.
And this is where she explains that her people are currently fighting in a war. And they need him to help.
Yep. And he's like, well, what can I do? And she's just like,
Play
the guitar.
Play music.
Here's your guitar, play. After playing the flying VA, he is once more just on Earth, walking down the street.
Yeah. And I believe this is where Layla's talking about how, like, she'll need him to help out multiple times, but, like, you can't come here just on your own. You can't just come play whenever you want. You
can't trigger the giant death laser without us aiming it somewhere.
Yeah.
Come on.
But he's just like, I don't care. I get to play music again. I have a place where I can come and play music and not be around my shitty fucking family.
Yeah, so when he gets home...
He's locked out.
Yeah, he's locked out because he's been gone all night long?
All night long. And it's not that he doesn't have his keys, as his wife has put the fucking really shitty chain lock on.
Do you mean the ones that are really easy to undo?
Yeah, I assume he just didn't break it because it's an inconvenience for him because he'll probably have to replace it.
You can undo those without breaking them.
Yeah, but most people don't, like, immediately know how to do that. It's not hard, though. You're right. There's a reason why most places don't use those anymore. Anyways, though, his wife wakes up, I'd say early morning, it's still kind of dark out.
Yeah.
And goes to open the door, and she sees her husband. And she's immediately upset that he was out all night. Not for any reasons that, like, he was out all night and she was worried. It's because, well, what if someone had broken in to murder her and Gin?
It boils down to he doesn't care about his family.
Yeah, what if Gin was sick? What if there was an earthquake? I can't carry Gin and the emergency supply back. Do you even know where the local earthquake shelter is? And as he goes to answer, she immediately cuts him off and just, like, names the fucking place. I think it's a school nearby or some shit. And she's just going on, and he's just like, I'm sorry. And, like, he's not being sarcastic about it. He's just like, I'm sorry. Because the man's in a good mood, so fuck it.
Yeah. So apparently while he was waiting, because the door was locked, he went to a nearby market or store.
Yes.
And bought some stuff. And so...
He mentions that, and his wife's just like, I don't forgive you. And then he takes off his glasses, and she's, like, dazzled for some reason.
Yeah.
And they go inside.
And he starts, like, cooking breakfast for everybody.
Yeah, we cut to them cooking breakfast. Their sun is up now, too.
Yeah, and she's like, well, this still isn't good enough. I'm not going to, like, forgive you. And he's like...
That's fine.
And she's like, well, as punishment, we have to go see those new model homes that I've been asking about.
And he's like,
and
that's fine, we can do it on my next day off.
And she's like, we can do it tomorrow, have a day off. And she's once again surprised by that. And, like, it's like, he's happier, his wife is happier, and it's all because he gets to play music. Like, she's been so suffocating on his ability to, like, play guitar and, like, enjoy music that she has actively ruined her own life.
Yeah, literally, at a point, she's suspicious of it, so she's just like, what's going on? He's like, I have a place to play guitar again.
And she's upset about that.
Yeah, she doesn't look happy. She's like, okay.
Yep, so the next day, the family goes on a tour of some new model homes, which is a very large public event, which...
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, which...
But in his head, we see and hear him, because we see some flashbacks here, and hear him just listening to music, remembering some music. Yeah. That thing I do in public when I don't want to fucking deal with people. And I've got music jamming through my head.
He kind of thinks to himself that there's too many people here, this is smothering, I don't want to be here. Yeah. Why did I agree to this? And so on and so forth. And then he gets called by Layla.
Well, before that, I don't understand the point of this scene, because it is in here, though, and it does take up like a minute to like 2 minutes of time.
I probably didn't note it because it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but maybe it does later. I don't know. It doesn't seem to. But it also is the point with the worst voice acting. So his wife is talking to the real estate agent, and he's farther away, and his son's like stopped in front of him. So he decides to take his son and just walk away from this event. And his son, in horrible voice acting, someone was clearly trying to do a child's voice and did it badly. It's just like, stop, it's hurting me. And then he gets the phone call, and then his wife appears over his shoulder.
Yeah.
And it's Layla, because they're engaged in warfare, and they need him to go to a model apartment. Wait, what?
Well, it's the same model home from the first night.
Yes. And do stuff.
And he's like, I can't, I'm kind of busy. And his wife's like, who are you talking to? And he's like...
I thought only I had your cell phone number.
And he's like, he starts making it seem like he's talking to his boss, while simultaneously letting Layla know that he's with his wife.
They're near the model apartments, and he can meet her there.
Yeah. So they go to the model home where OG first went to space.
And we see Layla and Red, Blue, and Green, or as I have taken to call them at this point, the three dunces, talking. And Layla's like, I'll need you guys to separate him from his wife.
And so when they show up, the three exercise girls kind of like start exclaiming. They're like, oh, no way. You're our 300th visitor to this house. And that as the 300,000th visitor to this model home, we have a special tour for just the wife, the homemaker, so she could truly appreciate how awesome this home is.
Because as the 300 millionth visitor, which is more than the population of Tokyo.
We just want you to know how important you are to us.
At least the population of Tokyo in 1999. I just had to look it up out of curiosity.
So these three aliens kidnap his wife and son. Literal alien abduction.
They grab them and run away.
Yep. His wife comes out of the living area in the house to see a man slip into the bathroom. And she thinks it's Ojai and that he's with another woman.
Yes.
When she opens the door, it's just a guy throwing up. It's supposed to be like a false scare for the audience.
She doesn't open the door right away because the three are talking and are still trying to distract her. And they all fucking fell come up with a lie after this point. They're like, we got her inside the house and away from her husband. What's after that? So subsequently, they all three fell, but one's just the idea of, oh, the prize is we play cards now. Yeah, and she was like, nope, not doing that. And then she saw the guy go into the bathroom. Yeah. It wasn't her husband, but because she can't find her husband, she ends up giving in and playing cards. Yeah. At this point, Ojai is on the ship playing guitar. Yep, he's thinking, man, these concert halls are just more and more massive. And I can't tell if this is supposed to be a joke. I think he actually thinks he's playing in concert halls. Well, I'm not sure. Like, I am confused by it because I don't know if it's supposed to be a joke. If it's like his way of comprehending and dealing with this weird alien fact or whatever. Whatever it is, he's just glad to be able to like have time to himself, to be himself and just play music. Yeah. So he starts playing this really nice sounding solo. And as he plays, the alien armada that he's helping begins to decimate the other one, blowing up planets and asteroids and ships. Only and one planet. And so Layla excitedly like charges across and jumps and does the whole classic one leg up and gives him a kiss on the cheek. Yep. At this point, his wife has given up with the card game. Is like, "Where's my husband? Where is he at?" And starts like exploring the house looking for him. Yeah, she's like, "I know he disappeared with some sex pot." Yeah, one of the three girls at this point lets slip that he's not even popular in the office. That doesn't make sense. Yeah, she's like, Mr. Tanaka is not even popular at work. So the other two immediately hit her on top of the head. That classic, both right degree angle, fist down. Yeah, Yoshiko, though, is so upset she doesn't really fully notice. Yeah. And then Oji shows up with some flowers. Yeah, just when she's about to have a full-on meltdown, Ojai shows up with a bouquet and Layla's lipstick still on his cheek. Yeah, and he gives her the flower. She doesn't notice that because she's distracted by the flowers. Yeah, he gives her the flower and says the rental manager just wanted to thank them for looking at the homes personally. And then the three dunces charge across because they notice the lipstick and wipe it off before his wife does. Yep, and she's looking at the bouquet. So they manage to wipe it off without her seeing. And they leave the apartment model buildings, and that's basically it. Ojai tells Yoshiko that today seems to be her lucky day, and they should continue walking around looking at more houses because she could get even luckier. Or find a great deal because she is apparently interested in buying an actual house. Yep. Which is understandable because their apartment is kind of small and shit. But if I was OG, I wouldn't want to live in a house with this woman. Yeah, she's appeased by this and happy, and they walk off, and we cut to credits. Yes. So, Justice, what do you think of episode 2? Okay. Episode 2 is less dark than the first one. It definitely still has its moments. And they're still in the beginning. Like, this episode, I hope, does not establish a trend for the show of being dark at the beginning, and then they're just lighthearted at the end. Yeah. Because one, that's boring, and two, also... And they don't mesh them well, really. That's true. But even still at the end of this, I'm still intrigued and kind of want to watch the rest of the show. But again, not for the fucking lighthearted moments, but because I kind of want to explore OG's like fall from happiness and being a rock star to middle-aged man, depressed, not married to this horrible woman. I just want to meet the rest of the band. I do too. Also, because they keep mentioning... I also want to know how they broke up, because I 100% at this point think it's Yoshiko's fault. Yes. Well, originally, I misheard her name, and I thought it was Yoko, so I made a joke about her breaking up the band. Mm-hmm. But as it's gone on, I'm like 98% certain her personality ruined that band.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Also, because like I keep mentioning Michael Schechner, I hope he has like some weird guest appearance in this dub.
That would be insane.
I would love that. I doubt it, but I want it.
Yeah. But overall, how do you feel about the series?
Overall, I still think it has that weird disparity between dark and light tone, but I definitely think it's a good watch. Like, it is intriguing, mainly for the darker aspects. I do think its ending is going to be able to be seen from a mile away. I feel like I already have a very good idea of what it's going to be.
See, I know what you think the ending is going to be, but I think you're wrong.
I think there's like 2 possible endings, but
Okay.
either way, none of them are good.
Shoot them.
Well, there's actually, I think I thought there were 4 initially.
Okay, shoot them.
There is the one where he leaves his wife, ends up happily with Layla, and is actually doing music stuff again. There is him still with his wife, somehow reconciled with her because he's happy again because he's doing music, and Layla and them all leave. Then there is the one where Layla and her alien people are evil, and he has been tricked into murdering people, though that doesn't feel like that's going to happen just because of the length of like the show. And he somehow ends up happy with his life and leaves. Or this man just ends up extremely depressed and like done with everything.
Okay, so I just want to let you know they're 100% not evil, and I know that before I read the synopsis for the last episode because of the tagline for the TV series.
Oh yeah, I figured that one's not likely.
Hard Rock Save the Space means these aliens aren't evil.
Yeah, no. I very much didn't think that was one. I'm just saying like from the show, the way the show is portrayed, other than the tagline, that is a possibility, but that's a swerve that we're getting more and more in like the 2000s.
Mm-hmm. Can I just hit some quick things I've read from this quick synopsis? I haven't read the whole thing. I don't know how the series ends. But some
bigger spoilers if you want to watch the entire show, because I am going to allow this.
Okay,
continue.
So the entire band does get together.
Okay.
They're forced to play a marathon session in the final battle to stop the enemies.
Yeah, because Black Heaven is where they get the sound.
And they're playing directly against an evil antagonist band who are clones of Black Heaven.
Okay, that's dope. Are they called White Hell?
I don't know. Meanwhile, while this is all going on, while literally OG is playing for the protection of his planet because this alien race is going to kill his planet if they get through these other aliens, his wife is filling out divorce paperwork.
I'm happy he's not fucking stuck with her.
Like,
I told you, he's either going to be like playing music and happy and leaving his wife, or not. Like I said, there's like 4 basic outcomes, and I think that falls into one of my 4. So now we're back. If you wanted to skip that weird spoiler thing,
I only found that because I was looking for how many episodes there are, because there are 13 episodes for this.
Mm-hmm.
So just these first 2 episodes, you're about 15% of the way through the series.
Yeah.
I'll probably finish this at some point.
Agreed.
For me, though, there is still this disjointedness between like the philosophy of the show and the comedy of the show. It doesn't.
The comedy
jive.
doesn't feel like it fits.
This episode, though, has a lot less emphasis on the religiousness of music.
Yes.
And the sexuality of music is toned down a lot, too. Like, the closest thing is that kiss, but, like,
Yeah.
whatever. Kisses aren't sexual.
I mean, arguably, it is still a sexual connotation, because you do have to keep in mind we are watching a show from Japan where interpersonal
In the 90s,
is
yeah.
much, much worse.
Yeah.
Not worse, has much more weight.
However, this episode really hammers home like this underlying idea that music as a personal savior, like something that can like make your own life fulfilled and have meaning. Not just music. So. I think when we have shows about music or anything in this general, I think it's
artistic things.
Yeah.
Outlets for people.
Yeah. I think with more subtle notes on the religiousness and the sexualness of music, and more emphasis on how music can affect an individual, and not just themselves, but the people around them.
Yes.
How art can make one person have a better life. Yeah. I think the show has a cool meaning to it underneath it all right now.
Also, just like animation-wise, for the late 90s, it's also still really well animated.
It's got some really cool moments. I don't know if like most of it is good.
I mean, it's well animated for the night.
Yeah, none of it's bad though. Like
it is just older animation. So if you're going in expecting like animation qualities of like fucking My Hero Academia or Dragon Ball Super, whatever, like of course you're not gonna fucking get that. It is 21 years old, people. Almost 22 now, because it's 2021 now, bitches.
Yep. So that was Black Heaven, or The Legend of Black Heaven.
Yes. So I guess we're just gonna stick with our general stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
If you guys want to contact us, you can email us at copilotsreview@gmail.com.
Or you can hit us up on the Twitter at Copilots Review.
Or you can find links to our Discord, our Gmail, our Twitter, and this podcast at copilotsreview.simplecast.com.
Before we actually head out, though, I do just want to remind everybody that Logic Defender and Cons finally dropped that Among Us music video.
The Third Imposter.
It's hella good. Check it out.
It's absolute fire.
The
You should check it out. It'll make you happier. Music will make you happier, make your life better.
The music video itself has a link to Tom's Wordsworth YouTube channel, and he does musical covers.
Who you should also check out because, music makes your life better and makes you happier.
He does the vocal solo near the end of Third Imposter and just slays it.
It is fantastic. Everyone involved did a great job, and I absolutely love the fucking thing. I would enjoy it even if I didn't fucking know these people.
Yeah, so
I don't know like half the people involved on it.
Big cheers to Jax.
Jax Gameface.
Jax Gameface on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Jax Gameface. Cheers to Logic Defender. Twitch.tv/Logic Defender. Cons. Twitch.tv/Cons. And Tom Wordsworth, who doesn't have a Twitch,
but he has a wonderful YouTube channel. And just thank you to everyone involved, including the people who had minor speaking roles and stuff, who aren't credited in the notes and stuff. They're all wonderful people.
Speaking of those people, which include our friend Hunter.
Philippian Golem, yes.
Hunter is the winner of our Christmas giveaway. I've had his item sent out for him now. I just want to thank everybody that submitted for the giveaway.
Yes, thank you very much.
I definitely want to continue doing that for future Christmases.
I'm preferential to the idea of maybe not all of us doing it for Christmas. Maybe it'll be done for the second. Maybe we're going to do it for Hanukkah. You don't know. We don't actually care about the religious points of Christmas.
That's true. It's just
It's just really close to the 22nd, guys.
It's just a holiday that was culturally ingrained into us.
It's the one that's extremely commercially successful.
Anyways, thank you guys for flying with us, and you have a great new year.